An ongoing energy crisis in South Africa is impacting the livelihoods of millions of people. But while widespread blackouts are costing the country millions, they're also paving the way for a new generation of entrepreneurs. CBS News correspondent Deborah Patter reports on the rising $19 billion solar power industry.
I'm here in Franschhoek, home to wine and fruit farms like this one, powered by a floating solar plant, just one of the many responses to South Africa's energy shortage. The government is battling to keep the lights on here. A decade of mismanagement and corruption has left the national grid close to collapse, regularly plunging much of the nation into darkness. Is renewable energy the answer to this crisis?
So the obvious and direct answer is yes, and not only because renewable energy is the be-all and end-all, purely because we have a supply issue at the moment in South Africa.
I know that long-term it's good.
GQ Rauleka heads up Pele Green Energy, a young South African company committed to establishing renewable energy plants across the continent.
One thing South Africa has a lot of is sunshine. 2,500 hours a year on average, according to the Weather Bureau, and that makes it ideal for the country's solar power revolution.
A revolution led by a younger generation who has no allegiance to old ways of doing things.
For our generation, climate change is obvious. We not only experience it, but we're not threatened by what it means in terms of changing the ways of doing business in order to respond to that.
For Fumani Tembi, another of Pele's co-founders, that meant building this solar plant in Touws River near Cape Town. It contributes enough energy to power 36,000 households. It's cheap, it's clean, and unlike coal, in endless supply.
I think it's time, it's history, and perhaps, you know, it's also an opportunity for us to finally get on a development path that is sustainable as the African continent.
Pele has given the residents here a 5% stake in their company, and it also provides electricity to this local school.
Most of the kids here have grown up only knowing solar energy. It not only powers their school, but provides them with hidden educational benefits.
They've cut their electricity bill by half, a huge saving for a school servicing an impoverished community.
It's not only good for the school, and cheaper, but it's also clean, right?
It's really clean electricity, no pollution, and it really only uses the sun.
Can you see Nigeria?
These 10-year-old students agree.
It is pretty mind-blowing because it looks like just windows, but it's actually like just a generator. It makes its own power from the sun.
And it's that power that could ensure the survival of South Africa's internationally renowned wine country. Here in Franschhoek, the switch to solar has been born out of necessity.
On the back of more than 3 years of drought, the constant power outages have had a dire effect on the farming industry. This 300-year-old fruit farm uses only renewable energy.
Can I taste it?
There you go.
Farmer Frans van der Merwe says it was cheaper to build this floating solar farm, a continental first, than plant more orchards.
We have taken so much from this earth, so I think it's time that we give something back.
Giving back in a way that's good for business and good for planet Earth.
For these young people, solar is just the beginning. Pele Energy told us innovation is ongoing and will lead to solutions we cannot even begin to imagine right now. Deborah Patter, CBS News, Franschhoek, Cape Town.